VCT Americas now starts a week late, but yeah, we're finally here, so let's get right into the power rankings. But first up, we're gonna look at the power rankings that I did at the beginning of the year. And yeah, I think with like the obvious mistake, obviously, is Furia being in last place. I really didn't expect them to be as good as they were. So obviously they should be much higher. I think NRG, MIBR, and G2, they're kind of fine, right? This tier list was over the course of the year, so it could work out with these teams being in that order, maybe even. Then I think I was a bit too hyped on Lev. I did think that maybe they have a bit of a slower start in kickoff. I hope maybe they would be great, but I don't know. I haven't seen anything that promising yet, so they are definitely a bit high. And then I think maybe like switching around 100 Thieves and Sentinels would make sense. And obviously we haven't seen the crew roster thus far, but I don't think, like for the majority of it, I think it was fairly decent with like the middle of the pack at least, and then the top teams apart from Furia. Although I think that maybe over the entirety of the year, they will come in like fourth. After these three, I still think they're going to be the three best teams over the course of the year. But yeah, I think decent, but still very much off with the power rankings. But let's now look at the ELO ratings for these teams on the maps and the changes with the map changes, with how that might look for the teams. And so we have up here the ELO ratings for each of the 7 maps from kickoff and the masters. And so the ELO rating after kickoff or masters for G2, NRG, and Furia. And as you can see at the top is G2, then C9, which is quite surprising, I would say, that they are that high. Then NRG, 100 Thieves, EG, Furia fairly low. I'd say EG pretty high actually. Then Envy, MIBR, who are fairly low, but it does make sense to a degree, right? Since they lost a lot of BO5s in a row, so makes sense that their elo is a bit lower from that. But I think, yeah, they are for sure a better team than this. Then Sentinels, Crew, Loud, and then Lev lastly. Yeah, that's what it looked like after the Masters or kickoff. And then the changes with the map changes, we've got G2 still at the top, C9 still in second, then NRG, Envy actually profiting from the maps being out, 100 Thieves being a lot down, EG down, Furia down, MIBR down, Sentinels, Loud, Crew, Lev, a lot of the teams, the majority of the teams, the elo rating going down. But yeah, as I've said with all of the other regions at the moment, it is not really reflective of how good these teams are going to be. And yeah, over the course of stage 1, it's going to shake out to be more realistic depiction of how good these teams are. And yeah, so I would give it a couple of weeks and then it looks nicer. But yeah, interesting to look at for the moment, I would say. But now let's head into the actual power rankings for Americas. And for stage 1, I believe Americas had the least amount of changes, unless I'm forgetting something. But from what I've heard, Erde is coming into Loud. Although I think he's having some visa issues. I don't know exactly what it is, and I don't know whether he's gonna be ready to play in week 1 for Americas. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, he's coming in for Loud. That's one roster change. Then for crew, obviously the main roster is now gonna be ready. They've got their visas. They couldn't play at kickoff, and so now they are coming in. And then the other team with roster changes was Sentinels, who are replacing Narrate as well as Caillou, who was their IGL. So the IGLing goes back to John QT, and they are picking up Jonah P from G2, or was with G2 last year, and then didn't have a team for kickoff. And they are adding in Gervin as their duelist, who is from Tier 2. I think he's been a good T2 duelist, but I don't know a lot about him. Neither do I really about Erde. But yeah, I think these are all the roster changes that occurred, so let's head right into the power ranking. And I'm gonna make the bottom of it real quick. In D tier, I only have Loud. I don't think the roster change is really gonna do much. They haven't looked great, and I can't really say that any of the other teams I would see them like I can't see any team really being beaten by Loud, and I think they would all beat Loud, so kind of they have to be like a tier above them. So that's why I only have Loud in D tier. And then next up, I think we're gonna start with the S tier teams, which should be easier. And I will put NRG, MIBR, and G2 in S tier. Now, as for the order of these three, I think NRG are clearly in first place. Then I would put MIBR and then G2. I think for MIBR, the changes are good for them, right? With Aspas never playing Yoru to begin with, it's gonna be great now that Yoru has been nerfed. And yeah, they just have a more meta approach. And for NRG, they never really played the old meta, so they aren't affected by the meta changes, and I think G2 are more so. So because of that, I have G2 in like as the third team out of these three, who are clearly the three best in Americas. Then next up in A tier, I would put 100 Thieves, C9, and Furia. These three for certain. I think I would C9 as the last out of these teams. I think for C9, kind of they're just the regular season merchants, kind of. That's why I would put them that highly. And then I think I feel better about 100 Thieves than I feel about Furia, actually. Which is crazy since Furia won kickoff, but I feel like Furia played a lot of the teams when they weren't quite sure with their style or were struggling with their style, and so they took advantage of that and they did well, and they also did fairly well at Master Santiago. But I think with the meta changes that aren't really gonna affect 100 Thieves, and Koala Nupi did play more Yoru, even though I don't think it's gonna be massive for Furia the Yoru nerfs, but I still kind of think it's gonna go a bit down their performance compared to kickoff. So I would put them behind 100 Thieves. Then in B tier, I would put Lev at the top. I've kind of been wondering whether to put Lev in A tier as well, but I don't know. I just, from what we've seen, I can't realistically put them in the same category as these three. And I kind of feel like they they have had problems with their identity. I think this should be a team who goes for a lot of like fast set strat plays, because their individuals in that should really like they should really work out well. They should really be able to frag out well in a situation like that, and so their slow playstyle during kickoff was kind of odd. Um, and I hope they're gonna be better because I really like the roster on paper, which is why I put them that highly. But yeah, we haven't seen that yet. If they show that, then I'm happy to put them higher, but for the moment they kind of have to stay there in B tier. And then I would put in B tier as well, I think Sentinels and Crew. Now I'm not too sure about who to place higher and who to place lower out of the two. I think with Sen I do have more trust in this team now than I had in the kickoff team, but I don't know. I'm not too sure of how well it's gonna work out. Jonah P is obviously a great addition, but overall I'm not that sold on them really doing anything. And then for Crew, I don't know, the roster doesn't look that exciting to me. And yeah, they have a lot of players who had a down year last year, so they kind of need to prove that they are good again. So that's why I'm maybe a bit low on them. But yeah, I would say these three are my B tier teams. And then in C tier, I would put NV and then EG. With NV, obviously, the Euro nerfs for Exeter, they are horrible. I don't know what he's gonna play, how he's gonna deal with that, if he's just gonna continue playing Euro, because he has been one trick, like literally he has only played that champ in tier 1, and even in tier 2 barely played like anything else. So I don't know how that's gonna work. Maybe he just continues to play Yoru. If not, then Yoru is well and truly dead in this patch. But yeah, I can't have a lot of trust in this team after these changes as well. And then EG, I don't think they have looked great either. So yeah, unless the EG scene really has a god game, they won't really do anything, I don't think. But yeah, overall, I think I'm rating Americas quite highly, I would say. It's maybe a bit odd to have that many teams in S tier, A tier, and B tier, then only a few maybe lower, but I don't know. I just realistically, there's like, for me, there's this group of three, this group of three, and then this group of three. And so I didn't really know how to put them, like how else to put them. So it's a lot packed up at the top end. But yeah, these are my power rankings for Americas. And so let me know what you guys think. Which takes do you agree with? Which teams am I underrating? Which am I overrating? And then we're gonna see each other tomorrow for the pick'ems for Americas. Until then, see you guys next time.